Hello, I'm Mr. the Cat. I'm not a cat. I have a cat. If you look on this page, you might find some cat videos. Still have the same cat. He's bigger. I'm a sociology teacher, which means I know nothing about economics. Okay? But today, I'm going to do a sort of second bit about ideology and science, and I'm going to broadly talk about economics, even though I know nothing, obviously, about it. A large part of being a sociology teacher is having to talk about economics. It's the way it goes. Yay! I want to tackle ideology, because I didn't really explain that yesterday. Ideology is a really simple thing. It's a set of beliefs or values about the world. All right? What I really want to say about that today is the important thing about ideology is it presents us with models of the world. If you drop something, you expect it to fall, unless it's a helium balloon. But anyway, you expect things to fall. It's a model of the world. And most people go around with models of the world that they just don't realistically question at any time. Nobody realistically questions gravity. They question evolution. It's just a theory. It's just a theory. Don't question gravity, though, do you? Nah, it's just one of them things. Common sense, mate, innit? Eh? Common sense. Well, you see, the problem with common sense is very often it's not actually real. And one of the problems around economics is that it presents itself with a lot of common sense notions that in fact aren't real. At the moment you start thinking about it, you end up with problems. The other thing about ideology, briefly, is that people describe things as being ideological, not in the sense of, oh, well, that's a model of the world. What they mean is, well, you're just arguing for the sake of it, aren't you? You're wrong, and you can't accept that you're wrong. You're just going to have an argument about it, even though it's blindingly obvious that you're wrong. Okay? All those videos on YouTube where people own or destroy other people. Ben Shapiro, yeah, great stuff. Ben Shapiro, yeah, Ben Shapiro. Facts don't care about your feelings. The man who believes in God. Okay. Anyway, today I want to sort of talk about three particular common sense views in economics that are in fact ideological. The first one is the notion of the free market. All right. Oh, the free market's good, isn't it? Yeah, the free market will provide goods at the lowest cost to the people that need them. Hurrah! Great stuff. Yes. I totally agree with that. Okay. Human beings have indulged in free markets for probably since they've been human beings. Yeah, our ancient ancestors used to swap carrots for turnips, okay? And I'm sure people, haggled over the price of carrots and turnips. Been going on for a long period of time. Nothing particularly new in it. At a local level, it works brilliantly. I mean, if I go next door to my neighbour and suggest to her that I swap carrots for her turnips, then she's probably going to, we'll make the exchange and everyone's really, really happy. Yeah, local level is absolutely brilliant. Okay. It gets to be slightly more problematic in a modern industrialised economy as to whether or not we actually do have a free market. Okay? There are loads and loads of regulatory bodies, you will notice. Ofcom, Ofgas, Ofgen, Ofged, Ofsted, in my case, that are there to regulate the market. Okay, but the market really works extremely well, but it needs regulation. Yes, which leads to the sort of second bit of the first bit, which is that you can't... Well, the markets self-regulate. Okay, yeah? They self-correct. If I try and swap too many carrots for someone else's turnips, then I'll get told to go away, probably with a punch in the face. Markets correct themselves. If there's a glut of carrots on the markets, then the value of them relative to turnips will go down. Now, on a localised level, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But are markets really self-regulating? I'll give you a really interesting example of this, okay? In 2008, there was this thing called the banking crisis. And I don't want to shock you, but it involved the banking sector. It didn't involve... Gordon Brown spending too much money on lesbian equality advisors, believe it or not. Otherwise, it would have been the Gordon Brown lesbian equality advisors crisis. No, it was a banking crisis, okay? And after this, students at the London School of Economics, the clue's in the title, guys, complained bitterly to their course leaders because they said, well, this big thing that is blindingly obvious out there has just happened, and there is nothing in what we're learning that says that it can. Because modern economics says that markets are self-regulating. Of course they are. Adam Smith said so, didn't he? Yeah. So it can't happen. It's just, it did. Now that is a brilliant example of something that's purely common sense, isn't it? That's also ideological. The second one is the notion of employer risk. Employers, wealth creators, job providers. I love the notion of job providers. Whenever I see Richard Branson, I might come back to him in a short while, but anyway, Richard Branson being held aloft by women he employs, I always think, isn't he doing them a favour? Isn't he doing them a favour, yeah? He'd have to run the airline all by himself, wouldn't he? Without them women. And yeah, isn't he lovely, giving them jobs out of the kindness of his heart, eh? Love that phrase. Provider. I provide for you. I'm so nice. All right. Woo. Anyway, the idea of employer risk. Now, in 1850, if you were those guys with the moustaches, the big hats, and you owned a factory, if you opened too many nail factories, let's say you owned a factory and you produce nails, and you take a risk by opening another nail factory, and the price of nails crashes, and then suddenly, you're out of business, and that's the market working, isn't it? Because if you take risk and you lose, well, obviously you lose. Yeah. So that's just common sense, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. It's just that you may notice, especially in the last 10 or so years, that doesn't tend to happen. At one stage, the Royal Bank of Scotland was the largest bank in the world, and it needed to be bailed out by the government. Well, why didn't it just fail? Isn't that the market? No. It had to be bailed out, otherwise there'd be an immense crisis. Oh, okay then, right, okay, so we need to spend vast amounts of money in a crisis, yeah. But surely the crisis doesn't happen because it's self-regulating, and surely if it's an employer's risk or it's the owner's risk, then they just deserve to go out of business, don't they? No. Common sense or ideological? Not too sure about that one. The last one I want to touch on is probably the one which is most relevant at the moment, which is you can't pay yourself more than you can afford. Right. Everyone will say that to you, okay? Whenever I'm teaching economics, because I do actually do a bit of economics, it's part of sociology, I tend to say to people, so what's a mortgage then? And they go, Now, if I'm low on money, I will spend less money, okay? Now, we fully accept that. Now, that's a very householdy kind of, we always use a kind of household analogy here, householdy view of the world, yeah, great stuff, okay then. So I'm going to spend less money. Yeah, okay, that's great. But does that make me richer? Well, sort of, kind of. But what's the wider impact of that? Well, it means I don't go down to my local shop and I don't spend as much, and consequently they have less money. And if loads and loads of people do that at the same time, the shop will probably lay off their staff, who will have less money, and they will do the same thing. That's a recession or a slump, whichever way you want to put it, okay? We're constantly told we can't afford things. It can't be done. It's impossible. It's pie in the sky thinking, the magic money tree. In this country, we had an election just, I don't know what, 5 months ago? It was only about that. Really wasn't very long ago we had an election where the common sense and totally non-ideological Conservative Party, aren't they good with money? The sensible ones. One, because the other major party, the Labour Party, had all these stupid ideas about spending money in the economy or giving money to people or nationalising the railways and other mad ideas like that. Couldn't be done. Why? We can't afford that. Well, here we are. And just a month or so later, after that, the virus came along. Half of working adults now are employed by the state in this country. Yeah? Half. And little known story, very soon after lockdown was imposed, the government nationalised the railways. So where's the money going to come from? And the answer is, well, the government has ways of dealing with that. Whenever it doesn't want to spend any money, it's just pie in the sky thinking. Whenever it does want to spend some money, it finds it. Because governments don't work like a household. And the economy doesn't work like a household. Yeah? We need to be really, really clear when we're talking about an ideological position. Because people live with this ideological position in their heads. It's just presented as common sense. Now, the bigger word for that is hegemony. Italian guy called Antonio Gramsci came up with that one. Yes, he was a communist, but it's still true. And it's the inability to think outside the box. And one of the major problems that our government has is that it is full of ideologues who believe things like, you can't buck the market, you can't pay yourself more than you can afford, employers take all the risk and therefore they deserve all the money. Problem is that all of those things are effectively wrong. They're an ideological position. And in the next video, we'll talk about how the way that the present Conservative cabinet's ideological position has really, really deeply affected the number of people in this country that have died from the virus. So after the virus, I don't want to hear the government telling me what it can't afford anymore. Just an idea.